Welcome back to Foil Degen, where cardboard is shiny, where wallets cry, and logic sometimes go out of the window. Now, today I wanted to be able to talk about something that has been bugging me for quite a long time, and quite honestly, a lot of collectors as well. And that is why gold foils, the supposed grails of flesh and blood, are losing their shine, both visually and in value. Why are they tanking in prices? Why are they harder to sell and looking less impressive than the cheaper alternatives? Now, it doesn't make any sense, but I think I have it figured out and exactly what's going on and how LSS can fix it in ways that helps the collectors, the players, and the game as a whole. So let's dive in. Let's begin with the irony of gold foils. Let's start with the basics. So gold foils are supposed to be, where are the cards I want to show? I think it's over here. Okay, so gold foils are supposed to be the crown jewels, right, of flesh and blood. Limited, exclusive, worn at high level events, big flex energy, right? Now, however, when you hold the gold foil next to a cold foil, okay, I'm going to use this one as the example. Now, I'm not sure if you can really see it, but let me just hold it here. Okay, now, take, for example, these. Okay, I'm just going to put it over here, and I am now going to ask you to be the judge. I know it looks a little bit zoomed out, but this is kind of like the same frame if you watch somebody play live in a match, right? When you hold a gold foil next to a cold foil, extended art, there's a big problem. In fact, if you were to ask somebody that does not play flesh and blood, and you said, hey, one of these two cards is worth 20 times more, and ignore the packaging, just based on the card alone. If there's a glare, let me see if I can open this up. You know what, I'll just, so if that, maybe there's a glare, I'll open this. So if you were to ask somebody who does not play flesh and blood, and you said, hey, you know what, one of these cards here, and just to be fair, let's take it out of the packaging, okay? And let's say you said, hey, you know what, one of these cards here is worth, and this is probably like the right way to see it. Okay, so you told this person who plays, any card games but does not play flesh and blood, and you say, you know what, one of these cards here is supposed to be over $1,000, and one's like $50, and one's maybe, I don't know, I have no idea what the prices are these now, but which one do you think is most expensive? And I can guarantee you that 99% of the time, a non-flesh and blood player is going to say, well, hands down, this has got to be the most expensive, right? Because it just looks the best. And that's where we're at right now. So the gold foils that cost 10 to 20 times more still have this, this one right here, still have this old cropped frame. Not sure if you can see this right, but it's like, and even at this distance, I don't know if there's a difference, but like over here, could you have seen the difference? Is it a lot more impressive? So there's no extra visual treatment. There's nothing screaming premium beyond the gold layer. So it's like paying for a 5-star meal and getting it served in the paper bag, right? And as collectors, we notice, and I'm coming from an angle of like somebody who has collected all the gold foils in flesh and blood, and this is really hurting the market. And the reason why it's hurting the market, let me see if I can show a few more examples, and where it gets serious is this. Because gold foils look better than, and they're more accessible, the demand for gold foils, you might have noticed, it has dropped hard. These gold foils, when I first started collecting, I was happily paying about $2,000 per gold foil. And now they're floating around maybe $1,200 if you can even find a buyer. And shops, they won't even last, they won't even touch them for $1,000. So I personally, stopped chasing the new ones. And I literally own, like, I've got, even duplicates. And here's the thing, even like Bark Skin of the Millennium Tree, there's an EA, cold foil disc that looks significantly better. So when the high-end collector demand drops, it creates this ripple effect. There's less perceived value, and EV, the expected value of the event, drops. And because that drops, sometimes players who want to be able to travel somewhere else for a major event think that it's not worth it. It's not worth their while, so attendance dips. So there's less bling incentive, right? Now, so pro players aren't making enough because of the secondary prices can't support high value prizes. So it's not just collectors, it's the entire flesh and blood ecosystem that is being affected. So let's come from the angle of, so why is LSS doing this? Now, to be fair, I have a few different ideas, and I believe that I might have a solution for this. Okay, and it begins with this. Okay, so number one, I think the obvious one would be product sales. Okay, I am somebody that, obviously I'm a huge fan of flesh and blood. I believe in the vision. I love what James Roy is doing. I love the collectability of it. So I just put it out there that this is, I'm trying to find a solution, and I think I have that solution. You guys let me know in the comments. But it's this. Okay, so let's think about like why this is happening to begin with. Number one, I believe this is happening because product sales. So if you load a pack with cold foil extended arts, like this one, right? And you open a cold foil extended art, players feel like there's a shot at something special, right? This drives box sales, and it makes sense short term, okay? And once again, same thing here. If I were to open this up, and if you asked any player, you put them side by side without this packaging that makes it maybe looks that make the perceived value a lot higher. If you put it over here side by side, and once again you asked somebody and said, hey, you know what? One of these is worth 20 times more. Which one do you think it is? Guaranteed, every single time a player will be choosing this one, right? And I don't know if you can even see it from that distance, but this is what it looks like. So how do we bring up the prices of gold foil back up to its glory days? And just so you guys know, some of you might be thinking, well, this guy probably just wants to shill these cards so this goes up. Guys, I'm not a flipper. I've never sold a single card. I'm a hoarder. I'm a black hole. Every time I buy something, it does not escape my hands, so I'm not looking to flip. I'm just coming from an angle of being a collector and a hoarder, okay? Because I love the game, I love playing cards. Okay, so because of this problem, because it undercuts the chase premium and long-term collector market, that's the first one, right? Driving product sales. Same thing, you take a look at this. How do you even compare these two cards right here? Both Crown of Dominions. Again, one's a Marvel, okay? Again, maybe because of the lighting here, which isn't optimum. Let's take a look and see how that might look like when it's placed side by side, right? And I think you guys are starting to get the idea here. Oops, okay, I want to be really careful with this. Okay, so here's what it looks like if you've never opened one of these envelopes before. I'm doing this for you guys, okay? I am risking this thing here. Oh man, The packaging here is not optimal because this thing is in the way. But okay, this doesn't. Did it have a sleeve? Where's the sleeve at? There's no. Oh wait, there is a sleeve. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna be careful with this. So I'm gonna put it back in the sleeve. Okay, take a look at this. Both Crown of Dominions. Look at it side by side. What do you think? So this is where our next issue is, right? So we want to be able to push product sales. We want LSS to do well, and we want players in general want these kind of hits in the box so that it increases the perceived value. Okay, so let's talk about the reasons why this is probably happening first, and then I'll talk about the solution that I proposed. Okay, so number 2 is the calling price exclusivity. Why I feel as LSS might be doing this is obviously because of these. Okay, so maybe they're not intentionally not giving out the gold foils, the extended art treatment because of these, in order to preserve the exclusivity of the calling first place winners, right? So initially, like this would be considered the grail, but like these, right? Because it's the only gold foils that comes in extended art. So here's the thing. But when the demand for these drops, you might have noticed, you go to the trade channels right now, you'll see a lot of people wanting to sell it for like 1.2K right now. Some people, even in the private DMs, they're trying to get rid of 1,000. And again, shops, they're not looking to buy it at 1,000. So what's going on? So if you zoom out, the trading card games don't just survive on casual players, right? They thrive when there is a strong collector market. And collectors hold cards long term. So I'm talking about the real collectors, not the flippers, not a person who's trying to make a quick buck, but people who actually love the game, want to support the game, and just want to collect. So collectors want to hold it long term. They reduce circulation. They support secondary value. That brings stability, right? You look at all the other games, whether it's, well, Magic's not a great example, but Pokemon, right? The collector base, props up prices even when the meta shifts. So if gold foils becomes undesirable and people stop buying, these type of packs unopened, then that is where it becomes volatile, right? So when the collector segment disengages, events suffer, long-term growth suffers, and so collectors is the financial foundation. Okay, so you'll see that there's a few different issues right now on hand, which is like, if you take a look at all of the latest gold foils, the reason why gold foils in the latest packs are undesirable, because typically the gold foil in the latest, whether it's Hunted, whether it's Rosetta, the gold foil version of it would have the cold foil EA version, okay, and the cold foil EA version looks a lot more desirable. So who would want to buy the latest gold foil packs when this is so much more aesthetically pleasing, right? And that's why, even like for me, I would rather use the gold foils or Marvels because they look better than a gold foil. So this is where I want to talk about the psychology of prestige, which is like, so this isn't just about the price, this is about the emotional payoff, okay? When somebody wins a gold foil, it needs to feel like this card is bar none the best looking card for Kabuto, right? That has got to be the case. It has got to be the case that if somebody wins a Mask of Deceit, this is the best looking Mask of Deceit out there, right? And I personally, I've always thought of myself as a collector first and a player second. But to me, like, I'll probably never top 8 a calling, probably. And I know it's hard, right? And for somebody who tops 8 and goes through all of that, the unfortunate thing is it feels like there's going to be 2 winners, which is, one, the person who actually wins the calling and gets one of these grails, or the person who, the 2 out of the 7, or rather 1 out of the 7 person who opens a WTR or ARC gold foil. So there's like 2 winners out of the 8. So it feels like, you know, when you win this cropped version, there's no person that's going, oh man, you know, that's really celebrating, right? Because it feels like a dud when there's a cold foil EA. So prestige isn't just about rarity, right? I'm not trying to just collect. I want to be able to collect the thing that looks the best, right? So it's the holy shit moment when you open the card and everyone wants it because it looks amazing. So if cold foils are and cold foils extended art are giving that moment, you know, these aren't doing it, right? So it devalues the whole incentive structure. I just remembered, I'm really hoping this is recording right now. Okay, it is. Okay, cool. So, what's up, everybody? All right, so this is where the next thing, like, so how do we deal with this? Okay, so secondary market signals to me is the game health signal, right? Last thing you want is somebody that's new coming into the game, and then the market's tanking, and they're going, oh man, what's happening with this game, right? And this is such an amazing game. So here's something that most people overlook. The secondary market is a signal, and when gold foils are dropping, you know, and shops aren't buying and collectors are backing off, new players see it. You know, investors see it. Investors, okay. You know, shops get curious, cautious rather. So it chips away the confidence at the game's health. So you got to fix the appeal, and then you fix the optics. Okay, so here's the solution. The solution that, you know, benefits everybody. How do we fix this? Here's what I propose, and you guys let me know in the comments. You know, I'm just, but number one, okay. So give gold foil the extended art treatment. Okay, this needs to have an extended art treatment, but I know what you're thinking, you know, or rather, I think LSS is thinking, which is like, these are supposed to be the only gold foils that extend art, but you know, because this might lose its prestige. If all gold foils was EA, then what makes this different? Well, I'll come to that in a second, right? So you make them, or you could make them borderless. You could move them full art, textured, embossed, you know, layered foil, special, whatever it is. You know, maybe it has got a calling, you know, word, you know, embossed on it, okay? But it should look like the crown jewels, okay? Not a cropped version of something that is nicer, where just the border looks gold. And again, if I put it here, can you really see the difference? Okay, that's the first one. Number two, second possible outcome is introduce event-only variations with unique treatments. So imagine if you had, you know, these gold foils, and it actually says, you know, calling city name. So one of the things that I actually love doing, this is something that I do it for the events that I attend, or sometimes if I know where the players won it from. I actually enjoy putting where it's won from. So this is from Phuket, this is from Sydney, this is from LA, this is, you know, Barcelona, Amsterdam. So I like to be able to, you know, and I feel that where it's won from, this was from Malaysian Nets, you know, really makes it different and unique, right? Maybe you could do that, right? Rather than just it being on the slab, it's on the card, okay? So we want to be able to make it exclusive, okay? And then you can make it, you know, if you really want to double down, this could be like hyper exclusive. You could have, I don't know, the actual serialized number, embossed logos, special textures, you know, treatments that you can't get anywhere else. That's gonna probably increase the cost of printing the card by a whopping $3.50. I don't know, okay? But it keeps the prestige. It gives this visual jaw-dropping factor, okay? So that could be one. Another possible solution is to introduce maybe tiered prestige clear and simple. The Cold Foil Extended Arts, okay, cool. That can stay as the box chase cards. But Gold Foil has got to be max rarity, competitive flex or something, right? But event only EA Gold Foils has got to be the true grail. When that happens, collectors are happy, players are happy, shops are happy, the event EV is restored, players want to be able to play, and at least, pro players can make a decent living maybe from it, okay? And that's what Flesh and Blood is designed to be, right? This competitive, to really excel at competitive play. So in closing, I would say at the end of the day, we all love this game. Okay, we all want it to grow. We want players, we want collectors, we want pros to feel like they are part of something thriving. But right now we've got this weird reality where the most expensive, most prestigious card are looking worse than the cheaper ones. Oops. And that's bad business. Okay, so the good news is it is fixable. Okay, it can't be the case that, you see, I even had to look up close. And here's the thing, right? It's like, even if I mix this up, like one of these 5 is a gold foil. And if I were to shuffle it, yeah, maybe you can, right? Close up, you definitely can. But again, if you see it from far, what am I talking about? These are EA, so it's pretty obvious, right? But if you were to mix up these Kabutos, right, shuffle it real good, and then if I put it over here, can you actually see where it is? Yeah, maybe, but you have to like look up close, okay? But if not, you gotta look really close. You probably gotta tilt it a little bit, okay? So it's fixable. LSS has definitely built something incredible. They just need to give gold foils the glow up they deserve. Collectors will come back, event attendance will thrive, and players will get the prizes that they actually want to win. So if you agree, let me know if, or if you think I've totally lost my mind, drop a comment below. Let's get this conversation going. And of course, as always, for more shiny cardboard opinions, market observations, and questionable financial advice, be sure to subscribe to the channel.